Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Microsoft Teams webinar. My name is Carrie Novak, and I'm GadellNet's Training and Development Leader, and I want to thank everybody for taking some time out today to join us. This is our very first webinar of the 2019 GadellNet webinar series, so keep your eyes open for additional webinars coming soon. I'm pleased to introduce our in-house Microsoft Teams expert, Emily Hankey. Emily is one of our account managers and has been with GadellNet for over 2 years. She's hosted Lunch and Learns and conducted several client demos on Teams, so she's well-versed in Teams and how it can benefit your business. Before Emily begins, I am going to ask again if everyone could please mute your phones so we don't experience any background noise during the webinar. That'll be really helpful. At the end of Emily's presentation today, there will be some time for questions. So if you already do have Teams and you're using it to view the webinar, you can actually use the chat function to ask a question. If you don't have Teams yet, please email Emily after the webinar. She will share her email address at the end of the presentation, and your respective AMs will then follow up with you on any questions that we are not able to answer today. So Emily, if you're ready.
I am.
Perfect.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for joining. I know everyone is very busy, so we're going to go ahead and get things started. As Carrie said, if you have questions, let us know. We're happy to answer them. If for some reason we are not able to answer them today, we will make sure that your questions do get answered. So with that being said, we're going to start with a brief agenda. We're going to cover the introduction of Teams, what is it, how it came about, the features, requirements that you would need through Office 365, and then of course just a quick Q&A session. So moving on, I think it's always important to know the why behind an application, and of course as times change, technology is taking over, Microsoft realized that there was a change in the modern workplace. They saw a need for a collaborative hub where you could communicate in one place, meetings, chat, files, and they saw the need for it and decided to develop it. You may have heard of other applications such as Slack. Obviously, Microsoft had Skype as well. Teams is meant to replace those tools so that you can communicate. Come about 45% of us use social tools at work. I'm guilty. I'll actually be able to show you a little bit later how you can plug LinkedIn to Teams. There are 4 times as many devices per user. At GadellNet, each user has about 3 devices that connect to the network on a daily basis. Another reason Teams came about is because it's a multi-generational workforce. We have millennials working with people of all ages, and there's now a new way to communicate. Chat. Gone are the days where email is your primary form of communication. Chat has taken over, including using GIFs, attachments. So Microsoft saw a need and a way to find a niche for their organization to be able to provide that. Team is a very collaborative workspace, and as you can see, about 80% of us spend time collaborating. I know at GadellNet, on a daily basis, I usually spend the majority of my day collaborating with my coworkers. So with that being said, what is Microsoft Teams? First and foremost, it's a chat tool. So you can have a one-on-one chat with your coworkers. You can have a group chat. You can have video meetings, video conferences. As you can see, you can have a video conference with users outside of your organization, such as we're doing this afternoon. It's a hub for teamwork. So there's a collaborative space for each user and each team to have their own little, I would say, corner of this application to talk about what they're actively working on, store files, include links, as well as add applications into Teams so that you can get to them directly inside of Teams. You can also tailor your workspace. So one team does not necessarily have to have the same content that another team has. At our at GadellNet, we have multiple teams across all of our different branches. And then last but not least, Microsoft Teams is secure. It's HIPAA compliant. They have added enterprise level security. So you can be rest assured that what you are sharing in Teams and what you're doing in Teams is secure. Okay, guys, so I apologize about that. We went a little crazy with the slides. So moving on through that, let's go ahead and talk about how you can communicate through chat. What's great about Teams is you can have a private chat one-on-one, or you can have group conversations. An example earlier, Carrie, and I had, we were updating the presentation for this webinar, and we were able to do it through Teams. We can share information in an open and transparent way so we can see who has edited the document last. We can see where they've edited the document, and we can communicate across different locations. I'm based in St. Louis. Carrie and Callie are based in Indy. So how does it work and how can you collaborate? It's actually integrated with the Office 365 applications that we know and are familiar with. So there's conversations, files, and tools in a team workspace. You can share and co-author Office documents such as Word and Excel. You can add SharePoint integration into Teams. So if you'd like to use it as your document file repository, you are welcome to do that. You can share your OneNotes across the organization with other members of your team. The account management team at GadellNet, each of us have our own OneNote repository, and we share it across the organization. So if another account manager would have to handle my account load while I'm out of the office, they can see my notes that I take on a daily basis. You can even add Power BI, which is something that your account managers will be reaching out to you more about later this quarter, as well as Planner integration. And what Planner is Microsoft's version of a project management software. A great thing about chat is that you can actually search across people, files, and chats. So if you think to yourself, I know I spoke to Carrie about the Teams webinar this afternoon, but I can't remember what time she said it was. You can actually go in through Teams, and as you can see in the upper corner where it says search, launch, and command, you could type Teams and it would pull over conversations, files, or people. So it's a great searchable tool. There's also email integration to keep the whole team in the loop. So if I were to add a file to a team, it would notify the other users in the team that I've added a file and there's something they should take a look at on Teams. The other great things about Teams is you can customize it and tailor it for your specific team. I think where it comes into play is if there's an application that you use outside of Teams, such as Salesforce, you can actually link Salesforce into the team so that your users don't have to go outside of Teams to get to the web version of Salesforce. You can add bots that your team can use. A bot is a searchable knowledge base that you can create. And there's actually a link through Microsoft that you can use to create a bot for a specific topic. You can also integrate third-party services your team uses every day, such as Asana. You can add LinkedIn. Our team recently used Polly to take a poll on who would like to be migrated over to two-factor authentication and when. And those apps are managed through Office 365, so you can make sure that they're secure. You can work with confidence. The biggest question we've been asked recently is Teams secure? And the answer is yes. There is multi-factor authentication, there's secure guest access, and above and beyond all, it's HIPAA compliant. All of the data is stored locally in the United States. You can go to Microsoft's website to see where for each region the data is housed. It's not going to give you an address, but it will tell you a specific location. So with that being said, I do want to offer quick tips, if you will, of how to use Teams. One of the great things about Teams is we all get buried into doing multiple things at a time, multitasking, and sometimes it's hard to remember where was that, how do I get back to it, and how do I find it? Well, Teams has taken that guesswork out of the equation by adding these arrow buttons. You can go forward and you can go backward, where you can actually go back and sort of trace your steps as to where you've been throughout Teams. I joke it's sort of looking like looking for your lost keys and tracing your steps through the house. The other thing within Teams that is really your lifeline is this navigation bar right here. This navigation bar includes the activity. So anytime you are mentioned, anytime there are files uploaded to a team, if you happen to use Teams for your phone service, if you have a missed call or voicemail, the little bell icon will light up with the amount of notifications that you have. Then of course you can see right here that this is the chat tool. This is where it's the one-on-one chats or group chats, and this is all internal. But if you have any chats that you're missing, you click on that and you can see who has chatted you and when. This little icon right here is your teams. We're going to dive more a little bit later into what the teams actually are, but this is where you can collaborate and pull all of your information with other users in the organization. Meetings, which is great because you can actually join a meeting from directly within Teams. For GadellNet, we use this for our phone system, so calls is obviously very important. But if I'd like to make a call, I just go ahead and click on this icon and I can enter in the number that I would like to call. Files, this is important because it's actually your OneDrive repository. So it'll show you any files that you've shared with anybody within the organization or files that have been shared with you. And then the three little dots are the more icons. I'm not really going to do much detail for that, but if there's additional functions you would need, that's where you would find them. So let's take a look at the features and figure out what does Teams consist of. So Teams consist of a group of people that are working on a project. It can be a department. It could be for us. In our case, we use it as for onboardings. So the Teams is available here. You can see that a team was created, and it allows you to have your own private workspace. What's great about it is you can add users that you would like to internally. Instead of sending emails saying, where are we at with this project? You can actually update the status as you can see through the running conversation. You can upload information, which is great because if you'd say, hey, can I get an updated document or get the updated Salesforce sheet or sales list that we have from yesterday, you can link it from within Teams, or you can actually upload it directly to the conversation. If you link it in Teams, it'll actually link back to the document repository, so it's being updated in real time. So let's take a look at channels. Teams are made up of channels. Channels are the specific topics that you are talking about. You have the ability to add a member individually by email, alias, or security group. Every new team will have a default favorite channel called General. Through General, it's just that. It's a general chat where you guys can talk about what's going on, what this space is going to be used for. I can give you an example that our account management team, we use that just to update each other on what's going on a general basis. However, if it's for a specific vertical, we have teams created for each vertical so that we can all stay in the know of what's going on pertaining to each industry. I would like to point out that although channels are there, you can add quite a few channels. So with that being said, it is important to favorite the channels that you're visiting on a daily basis. The remaining channels, if you'd like to be in the know but not necessarily follow them on a daily basis, can be accessed by selecting more. One thing to point or to note is that channels are open to everyone on the team. Why this is important is because chats are just one-on-one. Channel conversations, it's for anyone in the whole team that has been invited. So anyone can drop in, you can see what's talking about, they can add commentary, they can create it to cover any type of topics, projects, even just a hey daily status, how are you doing type of thing. So let's talk about who owns the channels. So there can only be 10 owners per team. What an owner can do is they can add members, they can add other owners, they can enable and disable at mentioning. Why at mentioning is important is because if a user would type at Emily Hinkie, I would receive a notification that I've been called out in a chat and I can easily access it. You can also at mention the channel. So if the channel's name was account management, you could select at, you'd type in at account management, and a notification would be sent to all team members of that channel that there has been an update. Owners can rename the team and delete the team. If you delete a team, all the conversations, files, and tabs are gone with it as well. So you don't want to necessarily take that lightly. Team members, there can be as many as 600 members per team, so it's pretty robust. Members can add additional channels to the team. You can also, owners of the channel can actually disable that function because it could, if you have 600 team members, you could end up with 600 channels. But you can either allow allow or um, disable that function. So with that being said, it can get pretty crowded, but it's great to know that you can add, it's a very collaborative environment where many people can join. So let's talk about, honestly, one of the meat and potatoes that we use at GadellNet for teams is the productive chat. Threaded conversations and channels, you can reply directly to a message and allow users to easily follow the discussion. So as you can see right here, they're having a conversation. You can actually reply directly to someone's comment, which is nice. The other thing you can do, which is I know everyone gets busy throughout the day. You have the ability to, right here, there's a little, looks like a little ribbon. You can save the conversation. So if you can't exactly address that conversation at the moment, you can save it, access it in the upper left-hand corner by selecting saved, and go back to it and reply to it when you do have the time to respond. Or you can like a message. Liking a message, it just basically lets other users in the channel know that you've acknowledged the message. You're not necessarily adding commentary to it. From within the teams, you can actually review a file with a conversation alongside of it, so you can collaborate in real time on a document. By doing that, you would upload the document, open up editing on the document, and then open up a chat function. So if there's a document that you guys need to get out in crunch time and everyone needs to be in on it and it's all hands on deck, you have the ability to see who is editing it, when they're editing it, as well as the comments they are making. The great thing about it is that no one loses the history. We had touched on this a little bit earlier, but you can also mention your team members by typing the @ symbol before their name, or you can mention the whole channel. The great thing about this is, again, once you do that, it calls it out to all the members of the channel or to that individual person that they need to respond to you on Teams. You can add reactions from emojis to GIFs to stickers and memes, so you can keep things a little lighthearted and fun. So it's great that you can have open conversations with your team, but what if you'd like to talk one-on-one with someone in your organization? You can do that, and that's through private conversations. How you can do that is through the left-hand navigation like we talked about. You select chat, and you can go ahead and type the user's name in, and then you can start a conversation with them. Through there, again, you can add attachments. You can save the conversation. You can like the conversation, but it's a way for you to have an open chat. I will say that this does retain the history, so whatever you say in this chat, it does retain it. However, one great thing about it is if you remember you talked to someone about a certain topic, but you can't remember when and you want to remember more of the details, in this upper left-hand area, you can hit search and you could say, okay, I know I spoke to Carrie about Microsoft Teams, but I can't remember what the full conversation was. You go up in the upper left-hand corner and select Microsoft Teams, search, and be able to pull open the chats that you've had with users across your organization, and you could go through your chat history. If you'd like to go ahead and add someone else to a chat, you can do that through Teams. What's great is all you'd have to do is you can open a new chat window, enter the users' names that you'd like to add to the chat, and you can start a group conversation. If you're in a chat with one person and you decide, oh, this person would be great to add to it, in the upper right-hand corner, you can actually add them from directly within your conversation, and it'll open a new chat window. You can add up to 9 people in a group chat. If you need to get outside of that, I would recommend reaching out to those individuals through the team. Another great thing about chat is you can share the files directly within chat. So gone are the days of having to email users and sending multiple emails back and forth of, hey, check out this document that I edited, or can you take a look at this version instead? You can edit it and upload it directly through your chat. So let's cover meetings. Obviously, you guys joined today, but Microsoft Teams makes it easy for people to start a meeting, join a meeting, and see what meetings are taking place. So how does it do that? Well, it allows you to use your mobile, desktop browser, and certified devices. You can see on this PowerPoint, they have a nice fancy Skype room and Surface Hub to conduct their meetings, but you can actually get into it through your mobile or desktop device. It allows you to have video conferences, allows you to record the meetings, as well as a transcription of the meeting. So from within a meeting, you can start a meeting. I think that's obviously important if you're going to have a meeting, but you click Meet Now. You can notify team members of the meeting. So if they're running a little behind, you can say, hey, guess what? Our meeting started. Go ahead and join us now. You can invite users from a conversation that you're having. If I know that there's going to be a meeting in my organization that I would like to potentially be a part of, I can also search it and join it now. By using the Teams hub, you can actually go to the meeting icon that we had talked about right here. You can see it right there buried, but you select meetings, and any meeting that you've been invited to, you can join it directly from the Teams hub. Really one of the least features that we use at GadellNet because it takes a lot of time to get ready for a meeting, sometimes a video meeting, but it's a great tool if you'd like to have a representation, have your team feel like they're together across multiple locations. You can share your screen, which I'm doing right now. In the sharing screen feature, which is really cool, I could actually give someone else control over my device. So say I'm having a hard time finding a document or I'm having a hard time figuring out an application, I could call the person that's the expert on the application and say, any chance you could walk me through this? And they can do that remotely through Teams. All I have to do is share my desktop and allow them control of a specific window. Once the meeting is done, people who didn't join can see that the meeting took place. They can see the conversations, if there are any chat tools that were taking place, and any documents that were shared. So you don't feel like you were missing out or you're sort of not in the know. So let's talk about one of the great things about Teams that Microsoft has really thought about is called tabs, planners, and connectors. And what this does is it allows you to really personalize and customize your team space. Tabs are the upper navigation bar right here. This includes your conversations, files. Conversations and files are always going to be a mainstay. Those are by default added to a team. But within that, you can actually add your own specific, you can add a document, you can add a link, you can add a website or application that you use. This particular tab right here includes Microsoft Planner. What Planner is it's Microsoft's version of a project management tool. It's great because you can add the planner as a tab and then everyone in the team can see what's being worked on, when it's being worked on. And within Planner, you have the ability to sign out specific tasks as well as assign due dates. That comes with Microsoft Teams. It's just something you have to add in as a tab specifically. It's not included automatically. Last but not least, you can add connectors. This allows you to receive updates from Twitter, Trello, Wunderlist, and GitHub if you're a sales rep. You could add your LinkedIn. So if you're regularly using LinkedIn for prospecting, you can add that into Teams and you can receive the notifications directly through the Teams hub. The last thing you can add, which is actually really cool, is a T-bot. T-bot, it's Microsoft Teams' way of quickly answering your question. However, you can actually, through Microsoft, create your own T-bot for your organization. So it's basically a wiki or a knowledge base that you have to upload information to. But if I were to type in a question such as, who is the president of GadellNet, it would automatically spit that information out for me. So with that being said, Teams is obviously a very powerful tool, and it does come with Office 365, but what are the licensing requirements in order for you to have Teams? First and foremost, bottom line, Office 365 Business Premium, E1, E3, right now available as an add-on to the subscriptions that don't currently have it, but it's definitely worth, I think, its weight in gold. The other thing that you need to be aware of is the platform requirements. So if you would like to use Teams on devices, you can use it on Windows 7, 8, or Windows 10 devices. I do have to throw in a little plug that, Windows 7 will be going end of life in 2020. So if you're going to be downloading Teams, I would say definitely try and download it onto some of the newer devices. It does work with Mac. That is a question we get very often. Well, I'm on a Mac platform. Will it work with Mac? Absolutely. It also works on your Android and iOS devices. I regularly access Microsoft Teams through my phone. It's a great tool to be able to, if I'm out and about, not necessarily have my clients know that I'm not sitting at my desk. I'm calling from the Teams application, and they're none the wiser. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is, although Teams does work on the desktop application, you can also get to it through the web. So if you don't necessarily have it downloaded on your device, or say you're on vacation and you have to borrow your significant other's computer, you can still get to Teams. You just have to access it through the web browser. So with that being said, as Carrie promised, thank you. This is my contact information, emily.hinkie@gadellnet.com. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, comments you may have. We really do believe in Microsoft Teams at GadellNet. It's a platform that we have adopted wholly as an organization. And we've noticed that it's powerful and really allows us to power our business. So if you have questions, like I said, account management, we're happy to come on site and provide an in-depth Teams demo and really talk to you how it would be great and work specifically for your organization. Carrie, do we happen to have any questions?
Yeah, I'm taking a look at that right now. Yep, we have one question from Brianne. She's asking if Microsoft, let's see, does Microsoft Project integrate?
So as of right, yes, you can add Microsoft Project into it. You would add it through the connectors.
And she has a follow-up question. If doing a, let's see. Okay, if you're doing a video meeting, does the other person have to also have Teams?
You can do it through the web base. I will say it's not as smooth if the other user does not have Teams as well.
All right, next question is there Dropbox integration?
There is. Dropbox is one of the applications that you can add as a connector or a tab within each specific team. You will have to obviously authenticate the Dropbox account when you log into it, but once you've authenticated once, it'll automatically log in.
Okay. And I'm not sure if this was stemming from the presentation, but Amy had a question. Is there a way to mute participants from the presenter role?
So as of right now, no, but that is something Microsoft is working on. I will say Teams came out in 2017. Microsoft realizes, and they've thrown a lot of resources at this, that there's going to be it's a dynamic application. There's a roadmap that Microsoft has put out. That option is available on the roadmap as to when it'll be completed. I admittedly don't remember when that is, but Callie, Carrie, and I can get that roadmap out to you so you can see what Microsoft has coming down the pipe for Teams.
All right, and then a follow-up question from Amy. How does it integrate with Planner? Can we get a comprehensive view of plans across all teams?
So for Planner, you have to add, it doesn't integrate Planner. So Amy, I believe actually know where you're coming from, and I can reach out to you directly after this, but through Microsoft Planner, you have the ability as like an overview as the admin of that application to see it, but when you're looking at it through Teams, it's only specific to each team, not across the whole organization.
Okay. Dan had a question. When you at mention someone, are they notified through Outlook slash email?
They do. They receive a notification. It's a little bit delayed, Dan, so it'll be about maybe a 5 to 10 minute delay. But if they have it on their mobile device or they have Teams open, the badge icon will immediately pop up.
All right. And Jeff wants to know, how does the transcription work?
So the transcription works. It's a platform through Microsoft. You receive a trans. If you'd like to, you can request a transcription of a video conference or a video call that you're on, and it will provide it to you via Outlook. I will be very honest, and Carrie, you can chime in on this. Sometimes the transcriptions you get are a little funny because it doesn't necessarily pick it up perfectly, but I feel like it does a pretty decent job.
Yeah, we've had some funny ones for sure, but but it does do pretty well. All right, and Brian would like to know, will Skype for Business eventually phase into Teams?
So Skype for Business is actually being phased out. Microsoft is going to be forcing all of their clients to move away from Skype for Business and migrate over to Teams. That should be happening later this year. If you are one of our clients that uses Skype for Business, Joe Goodell has actually been working directly with our Microsoft rep to push that migration over to Teams a little further out so we can clearly communicate and work with you guys through that transition. But yes, Skype for Business will be going to the wayside and will be replaced by Microsoft Teams.
All right, and I think I might have skipped this question. Is there a Dropbox integration? Or did I
Um,
ask that?
nope, you did, and there is a Dropbox integration.
Okay. Apologize. All right, I have two separate OneDrive subscriptions. How do we add the second if not in the corporate email domain?
So if it's not in the corporate email domain, you would have to add it to the corporate email domain in order to pull those files over and integrate through your Teams hub.
All right,
Your
so
I,
oh,
would- I,
go
was-
ahead.
let me. I was gonna say your Teams login is your corporate. It's your corporate email address as well as your Office 365 password.
Great. As of right now, Emily, that was the last question in chat. So
Mm.
I don't know if anyone else has any other questions. Keep them coming. This is fantastic. So if
It is.
if there are any other questions, we do have some time. So don't be shy if there are additional ones. Yeah, I think we're good, Emily.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate your time. Like I said, please feel free to reach out to your account manager and schedule a Teams demo. It is pretty awesome to see it in action and to see how it could work for your individual business and the different applications that can be integrated into it. Our account management team is happy to come on site and do that demo and get you in touch with the right team members to answer any questions you may have.